Hello, welcome to Real to Real Talk. I am your host, Paul Britton. Sorry, I don't know why. Uh, anyway, this is the one that should have popped up originally. I'll look. We're we're still figuring stuff out, right? We're still figuring stuff out, and we'll get there eventually. But hey, this is Real to Real Talk. I am your host, Paul Britton, and we've got movie reviews for you today. I saw two in the theaters. There were literally 5 movies that came out this past weekend that arrived in my local theaters that I wanted to see, and I went away this weekend. So the fact that I saw 2 different movies in the movie theaters is amazing, and I should be given full credit. The first one I went on a Thursday night. I saw Mutiny. Statham's back, my friends. Okay, so I don't remember there's a podcast that a movie podcast I listen to is on the Big Picture. It's a Ringer podcast, and there's a personality, a guy who used to be on the Ringer, isn't anymore, but he's still friends with all of the people. Unfortunately, I don't remember the guy's name, and I apologize for that. So I'm trying to give full credit for this, but Jason Statham movies should not be given titles like Mutiny or anything like that. What they should be given is uh Statham 8, Statham 9, Statham 10. Obviously that's not going to be for all of them. There are ones where he's part of something else going on and you can give it a full name. But by and large, a Statham movie is a Statham movie, and you're going for the Stathamness of it, and you're going to sit back and enjoy. This particular one, so a key to a Statham movie, he's an ex something. Okay, so in this one, he's an ex cop. He is located somewhere that is unconventional. In this case, he's located in Bangkok, Thailand, and he is now head of security for a billionaire. Okay, and the billionaire is selling his company, and it turns out that there's some kind of you know plan, diabolical plan to execute the billionaire, and obviously Statham is is the only thing that can thwart it, and he is not able to. But he is given based off of some information that was he was able to glean from the passport of one of the murderers. He because by the way, he like killed almost all of them, but no, he killed all of the people in the plot that were said to kill, but unfortunately one of their bullets got to the guy who was protecting before, anyway. All right, it's fine. He finds out that there's a ship that's docked that is leaving that evening, that guy was a crew member on, and so he just so happens also that ship is owned by the billionaire. That it's a big transport, what are those things, freight boat, whatever, doesn't matter. This movie is once on the ship, the third mate, a woman who's just trying to get back to Southern California to be with her daughter, uh tries to help him as he is being hunted by all of the other crew on the ship, who, as they discover, are engaging in human trafficking. So I mean, look, it's Statham 9, all right, and that's all you need to know about it. And then shit happens, and Statham, you know, shoots people, or breaks their neck, or does other Statham-y things, and you're either entertained by Statham or you are not entertained by Statham. I happen to fall in the category of usually entertained by Statham, and you know when when ranking movies, I you try to take a look, you give consideration for the kind of movie that it is. Obviously, you don't necessarily want to you know, Mutiny is not going to be judged on the same scale as the Odyssey. You know, it's just that's ridiculous. So you try to take into consideration that this is I would just totally like love to give Statham movies its own rating system, you know, and just like because some of the Guy Ritchie stuff are like 5-star Statham movies, but not really 5-star movies. Um Here at Real to Real Talk, instead of doing stars, we do tacos. And uh if we feel like something deserves a little bit of extra juice, like instead of doing like a half a taco or like a half a star you would do, we add guac. Why? Because nobody eats a half a fucking taco. All right. So the 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 on the Statham scale, this is 4 Stathams, but that's gonna be 3 tacos. And they're not very good tacos. Like, this doesn't come close to, like, The Beekeeper, which would be, like, 4 Stathams plus I don't know, extra vat of blood. I don't know how to do a half a thing where, so this isn't The Beekeeper. Look, it's just a really straightforward, stupid action not comedy, action movie that I was 100% engaged with. It the time spent on the ship, there's just so much climbing. There are so many scenes of Statham and the woman that's helping him, uh climbing ladders and stairs and going in through and out of tiny little, stairwells and stuff. It's like it's funny because every once in a while I'll be watching a movie and I'll think to myself, this would have been a really weird scene to film because there's no music going on when it's being filmed, and so you're just being told, all right, you need to look really like haggard and go up these stairs and there's so much like odd direction, but not because the direction is bad, but because the situation that they're in is just odd, you know and so these aren't like, even as tacos go, these are not really good tacos. These are 100% Taco Bell tacos. But hey, yeah, that's all right. It's a taco. Tacos are awesome. All right. The next movie we're doing is a little more important. A little more serious, although it's a comedy. So it's teenage sex and death at Camp Miasma, directed by Jane Schoenbrunn, who she has done previously. Um, I Saw the TV Glow and Let's All Go to the World's Fair, 2 movies I have done right here on this very space. And just a really, really genuinely interesting filmmaker with a very interesting voice and a very unique way of presenting ideas and stories and unique stories to tell within that. And it's this is no different. So the story here is that there is a slasher film series called Camp Miasma, you know Halloween, Friday the 13th. This one's called Camp Miasma. And at the start of the movie, we get a glimpse of, one of the kills from Camp Miasma, and then the intro credits becomes like a catch up, a montage. It's a montage of where are we in the Camp Miasma um story, legacy. And like, so it starts with, here's the first Camp Miasma and here are some headlines for it and people love it, and then here's the second one and people still like it, but it doesn't quite capture. And then like you just see the third one, the fourth one, fifth one, sixth one, seventh one, until it gets to Miasma 3000, and calling back to the time that Jason went to the moon. Just a super fun, knowing, fully self-aware, montage of, this is what happens when there's a successful franchise that is beat into the ground and into near non-existence. And then we meet Hannah Einbinder's character Chris, who is a lesbian filmmaker, director, who was offered the opportunity to reboot the Camp Miasma series, and she wants to go and recruit Gillian Anderson, who is playing uh, Billy, who is the lead actress from the very first Camp Miasma movie, basically the last girl standing, like a la, Jamie Lee Curtis, a la Nev Campbell from the Scream movies. Those, that Gillian Anderson is playing that character today, uh, and Chris wants Billy for the reboot. And Billy is basically like a recluse now. She decided, you find out during the montage, that Billy did not come back for any of the sequels. She was offered it, she declined it. And now we find out with a conversation that Chris has with her partner Mari, that and it's funny because like they're a poly couple, and Mari has a guy named Thor that she has a relationship with, and it's just she's just like, just the quintessential like millennial, maybe Gen Z, no, more Gen Z, I guess, young millennial, older Gen Z filmmaker who had some success with a couple independent movies, and lives a lifestyle that absolutely nobody's grandparents would approve of, and but she's being given the opportunity to make this movie, and she's just super aware of everything that goes on in the series, but also loves the series, like genuinely has a deep love for the series, and wants to make a movie that is a commentary on the original series. And pause, obviously Chris is a stand-in for the director Jane, and it and her making Camp Miasma is a stand-in for the making of Teenage Sex and Death at Camp Miasma, because Teenage Sex and Death at Camp Miasma is a satire commentary on so many things. Like there is so much depth and texture to this movie. It is fully aware of slasher movies and the good and the bad and the problematic aspects of slasher movies, and just presents it all, and in a fun, genuinely funny, genuinely thoughtful way, and totally consumable, like just but also play the characters in the movie play off of the characters in those movies, and the themes in this movie play off of the themes in those movies, and all the weird conversations you find on Reddit boards are presented here in this movie, like all of the strange, well, not strange, but like all of the sort of penetrative ideas behind the slasher genre are presented here, laid bare, and it is so smart, it is so fun. um the characters Billy and Chris play off each other so well. Billy being sort of like, Billy the best line in the movie is that Chris kind of presents to Billy her vision of what Camp Miasma means, and the themes and everything. And Billy said, and Billy's just like, or maybe the movie is just about two things: flesh and fluids. And that would that that's the beauty of this movie, because the movie is just about flesh and fluids, but there's a lot behind being about flesh and fluid. Like, it's just, it is so aware of the genre and aware of the politics of making movies, the politics of making horror movies, the politics of making uh slasher movies, the politics of rebooting problematic IP, just all of it. It's aware of everything, and it has something to say about all of that, and all of those topics are treated equally, elevated, and intelligently. None of them, all of it is just like an absolute wink and a nod. Every step of the way, it is never lost, and it never gets too full of itself, and it never takes itself super seriously, other than to say, I take seriously the importance of making good movies and thoughtful movies and movies that have something to say. And this movie has just so much to say. And whereas, like her previous movies, Jane's previous movies are very what's the right word I'm looking for? There's a lot going on that is otherworldly, we'll say. A lot going on that is feels not of this world, whereas everything that happens in this movie feels like it is of this world, if this world is just a slasher movie. And it's fantastic. It's just absolutely fantastic. I give Teenage Sex and Death Camp Miasma for Tacos Plus Guac. Um, I would recommend it to anybody. Like, you do not have to be a fan of slasher movies. I don't really even like slasher movies. It's my least favorite type of horror movie. I just love the hell out of this movie. It is fantastic. Lastly, I'm going to do a quick thing on I Can't See Everything. And this time it's going to be How to Make a Killing, now on HBO Max. Starring Margaret Qualley. God, yes, I mentioned her first, even though she is not the top billing. Glenn Powell is the top billing. Margaret Qualley. And it's the story of Glenn Powell is born to a socialite who has been disowned by her super wealthy father, because she decides to have Glenn Powell out of wedlock. And it's basically Glenn Powell tries to figure out how to work his way back into inheriting multiple billions of dollars. And it's just a really dark uh comedy of killing rich people. And then it's hard to take that oh wait, let me turn this off, sorry about that. It's hard to take that super seriously, and but also hard not to enjoy that, like at no point is anybody getting killed where you're like, oh, that's a shame, they were so good. um it, it's a fun movie. Not everything about it works. I will say that, and I'm going to go ahead and give it 3 tacos. Better than Mutiny. So these are a step up from Mutiny, from the Mutiny 3 tacos, but there's definitely they're on the same plane of existence. Totally different movies. But playing in the same ballpark essentially. That's all I got for you today. We will be back next week. I will be the one who is back next week. Gonna have Coyote versus Acme, a movie I've been waiting to see for 3 years, I think now. And also, what's the other one? Oh, I can't even remember. The Dog Stars. We've got Ridley Scott back in our lives, which is always fun. So yeah, hopefully we'll see you back again next week, and enjoy.